And hello, welcome back. Well, with the Group A going kind of as predicted, and Furia losing to Movistar, but then kind of making it back. So nothing unexpected. All other results were predictable. NIP is a poo-poo. Vitality had no resistance over there. Astralis on the other side played kind of bad, but not as bad as we would expect them to play. So at the end of the day, teams that were supposed to go through did go through. So nothing nothing unpredictable. So now let's drop down to the group B, and obviously I'm gonna start with Heroic. Heroic against Rooster. Is there anyone in the world that thinks that Rooster gonna do something? Probably only Rooster and their parents. So easy victory for Heroic. Then the other game is Big against Monte, and I'll repeat myself once again. I think that Monte is done. I do not expect anything decent from them. In terms of being consistent, maybe SDY is going to be consistent. Every other player is just questionable, right? Voro hasn't been as solid as 116 rating says, but Demq, I don't know, especially if they're gonna be playing against Big and then playing against Heroic, doesn't seem right, to be honest. So I don't expect much from them. So in a game against Big, I expect Big to actually have some sort of synergy building up, and hopefully they can do something about it. So my pick is Big. Now the most interesting game for me is Mouse against MIBR. Obviously, MIBR is a team of players that I wouldn't say failed on tier one, but were dropped by their teams. So Safety, Exit, Drop, Branzan. It's like, and only Insani is a player that didn't really have a feeling yet of how it feels to play proper tier one. But on the other side, this might be his opportunity. And in the games versus Mouse, uh, I don't expect MIBR to win, but I expect them to give a hard time to Mouse. And altogether, there's going to be pretty interesting match. Obviously, Frozen was in a great shape before they kind of went for the break. Dozy had a decent uh, period of time. Jimp fulfilled his expectations. Sarshan kind of dropped out, to be honest. And Shuhi, well, Shuhi is IGL, but once in a while he can have a decent rating. And yeah, this game I'm picking Mouse as a winner. And obviously next is Ends against EG. Obviously EG. Now, Heroic versus Big. That's the game in my book. And do I expect an upset from Big? Not against Heroic. So for me, Heroic is the first upper final team, and Big is dropping down. Um, Now the matchup Rosta against Monte in a lower bracket. Obviously, Monte probably gonna farm some points, and Rosta is gonna get eliminated. Uh, the winners match Mouse versus Ents. This is gonna be interesting game. Uh, for some reason, I have more expectations of Mouse winning the game rather than Ents. I don't know why. Probably because I feel like Mouse most likely gonna put more work during this period of time while they were off, rather than Ants, because we've seen Ants played many tournaments, and for them right now, I'd say it doesn't really matter if they qualify from the first place, as long as they just qualify. So even if they lose to Mouse in a upper final, there is no competition for them to actually be knocked out. So there is a possibility of Mouse going to upper final and potentially taking it all, beating Heroic as well, because as we know, Heroic facing some issues as well with the not performing well. Pardon me. So in theory, Heroic might be playing Mouse in an upper final, and Mouse can take it all. And Ends will just go from the lower bracket and take their spot from there. Um, Now in terms of MIBR versus EG, well, this is the game where I expect MIBR to win over EG, and then face a team like Monte. So or sorry, not Monte, Big, and that potentially can be another win for MIBR, depending on how good Big is. But I expect a close game anyway. And in general, these kind of lower bracket games are irrelevant because we have three clear favorites that's supposed to go through no matter what. Now, the only thing is left is to combine the players from those teams that most likely gonna do well. Mm. The first option is probably try to get Frozen and Shui, and the second one is I need an OP, but who am I gonna get as an OPA is pretty questionable, right? So I'm gonna go slightly different route, and I will try and pick a filler player that I think can have pretty damn good individual performance in like 3 games, right? And obviously, it's most of the time it's going to be an OP player, but this time there's no OP that I would be happily to pick. KD in 215 is too much. Sunpire's 222 is too much. Warro 215, never. Mantu for 200. After watching so many games where Mantu is just complete poo poo, I just don't want to try it, right? So I'm not really left with any decent opus. So I gotta go with the filler rifle, right? Because obviously Shuhi is gonna be the IGL material, right? So I expect them to do it all. So take it all, and as I said, this might be a great opportunity for Insani to shine and show that he's worth something. And what are my other options? Well, since I expect Heroic to do well on the other side of the bracket, uh, it just makes sense that I need to take Heroic players. But the question is, which Heroic player? Because if I take Javi, I have 200k, and potentially I can grab another big player or get Snappy in, but is it worth picking him? I don't know. When on the other side, Stone can actually do some damage, right? And he can be a great addition to the lineup. But then I'm left with 186k, which doesn't really give me best options, right? Process from Big, uh, not with kind of current ratings, not really surprised. So the other option is to get rid of Frozen and try to get Torji in. In that case, I'll have 200k again, and once again, I can fit nearly any player, but once again, not the best option, right? So even if I try and go this route with towards the Angsartion, I'll have 180k, which is not enough to get me a decent player, right? So this mouse route doesn't really work for me because uh, I want to have my filler player as Insani, and I want to have Stone as a star player because well, this might be his time to shine, right? Because he's the one that goes to kind of played the star role in heroic, but we haven't seen him doing too well in recent events, right? So Stone on this side, in terms of matches, it, it wasn't bad, right? But in general, against ends, 7-9, 1, not the best ratings. But again, let's try and keep him in for now. Um, ends, Nerds and Snappy, probably both are great, but then I'm left with 192k, and as I said, I kind of have the expectation that Mao's gonna take it all. But is it worth going for the gamble? Uh, not sure, to be honest. And is it really that time when Mao's gonna shine? I don't know. There are some great options with the mouse players, but in general, I prefer to go slightly safer route. And well, 192k at this point is enough to get someone like Krasnal, Tapson, Prosus, even Automatic, but I don't expect them to do good. So um, my only option is to pick Tapson and kind of hope that Big gonna do really well because they're gonna play Monte. It's gonna be a tough game, but obviously uh, Tapson has a good option to actually do well in that game. And theoretically, I won't really care which team's gonna win, heroic or big, because I'm only gonna have one player out of them, and there's always a chance that big might upset heroic and just go to the upper final. And if they do, that's gonna be very interesting because on the other side it's gonna be Mouse versus Ants, and it looks like one of those teams not gonna make it. Well, actually, it will still because like 4 teams are advancing if I'm correct. Single elimination. Yep, last chance and third place gonna play each other. So yeah, there are 4 teams that qualify, and so uh, it's quite obvious that heroic and Ants should be competing in the upper final, and Mouse should be taking it as a third place, and probably Big should be the one that's gonna win the last chance. And Insani, he's my filler player, and I hope that he's gonna have decent points because there's a very good chance that he's gonna farm some points in EG game and maybe in a Monte game as well, right? With that, I'm gonna lock my team in, and in terms of roles, there isn't really a good role for Tapson right now, but I have to stick with the most likely entry, right? The Hatcher machine, not really great for me on him, so lay down Snappy. Uh, it's gonna be a tough one, but let's try and do that. Stat Hunter on Nerds, well, most likely it's gonna work out. And in terms of defender, it's gonna be Stone and Multifrag. I'm gonna give a shot to Insani and hope that he's gonna show up big. And obviously, I expect him to be on top of the scoreboard against Mouse. Over here, just Mr. Consistent on Stone. Nerds versus EG. Probably gonna get 25 kills and just destroy them. Snappy against EG, most likely. I don't know about the assists, but let's just use the double booster. And Tapson against Monte. Mm, probably trade kills. So that's it. That's my lineup for the group B. And most likely I'm not going to change anything, but there's always a possibility in terms of something unexpected happens. But yeah, this is my team. That's what I think. And good luck and have fun.